G'day couch critics, it's Sogg and Brad, and look at this, we're back on a couch.
In person.
Unreal.
It's legal now.
Last time we did this, literally lockdown was called halfway through our chat, so hopefully that won't happen.
So if lockdown happens again in New South Wales, we're sorry.
It's the house's fault. Thanks so much for watching, and we're going to get into a bit of a chat about some expansion teams. So really we're going to focus on one team today because the A-League has kind of not really confirmed, but on an Instagram kind of ask us anything, somebody said, when's the next expansion kind of block going to be? And they said, keep your eyes out for next year. Obviously there's 12 teams in the competition at the moment, and hopefully they're looking towards 14. That would,
or even more, yeah.
That would be good. Maybe even 16. Now, we think Canberra is pretty much...
It's all but, like from the things we hear online and the rumours we hear, it seems like it's basically done without actually being confirmed. And hopefully we'll have that confirmation next year. Or we'll be completely wrong. But it seems like Canberra is a sure thing.
So if Canberra gets the 13th spot, there's at least one spot, potentially another 3 spots open. And so we thought we'd spend some time chatting about which teams should get those spots, some of the teams that are in the running, and today we're going to be focusing on one club in particular. Before we get there, make sure to leave a like if you enjoy this video, subscribe if you're new, all that jazz. Only half of our viewers are subscribed, so make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell and all that jazz. Leave a comment, all those things, they help this video go out to lots more people, and we hit 350 subscribers. Fantastic.
Great.
Can we get to 400 before the season starts? There's still a month.
No, I definitely think we can get into the next 3-4 weeks.
Let's do it. Alright, so the club that we're talking about today is Gold Coast United.
What about Southeast North Central Melbourne?
Western Queensland. No. Gold Coast United. What's going on here?
Sorry, we've got a cat dragging its bell over the floor, and it's having a good old sniff around Samuel's songs. Yes, we're talking about Gold Coast United and why we think Gold Coast United could be a potential candidate for A-League expansion in the coming years.
Yeah, so Gold Coast obviously had a team back in the day, all the hype around the World Cup bid for 2022, which
failed.
Yeah, failed miserably. 1 vote. That was great. And you got all those fantastic those kits. Do you remember the kits they had with the come and play and they had the kangaroos and stuff on them? Classic kits. If anybody has one of those, let us know. Cause
Samuel will give you money.
I will not.
Much gold.
And obviously we got North Queensland Fury and we got Gold Coast kind of out of that bid process, to show the league was expanding, and both of them flopped. In a couple of years, Clive Palmer was the real reason for the Gold Coast kind of collapse. But there's been some movement. The club has kept itself alive in some context in the Queensland Premier Leagues and things like that, and now they've got these American owners. There seems to be some real movement behind them pushing for an A-League spot again.
So they don't have American owners. What they have is American owners or American investors that are interested. So they were kind of the people behind wanting to get a Gold Coast team in before. They own a Danish club, a 2nd division Danish club. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. We'll put it up here somewhere.
They also own a MLS team, don't they?
I think it might have been one of the lower tiers.
Okay, right.
Not the MLS, maybe like a lower division team. I'm not 100% sure. But there's definitely interested parties in it. And so I watched a video the other day where he was interviewed. Can't remember. This is why we should research and write scripts so we know what we're talking about. But I did watch an interview with him with an Australian media outlet, and he was talking about a real desire to invest in a team in the 1st division. And he said, from his point of view, he would not be interested in a 2nd division team. He wants to have a team in the top division. And, he seemed really keen on the idea of Gold Coast. And he did talk a bit about, the troubles in the past, and kind of highlighted that it was around the owner of Clive Palmer. But what do you think, Samuel? Do you think Gold Coast should be given a go in the A-League again. Obviously, it's been there and it's failed, but you know, when we look at it, how it failed, it wasn't necessarily on performances.
I think that the Gold Coast is a real interesting area, and there's some big positives behind them. Obviously, there are investors who are keen. I mean, that's a great sign. People who are willing to back a football club in Australia, we shouldn't be turning those kind of people away. But also, I mean, the Gold Coast it's a pretty big place. People talk, you know, there's a bit of a transient lifestyle there, but I mean, you've got people who live there, who work there. There's universities. It's a city. It's not too far from Brisbane.
Yeah.
It gives a rivalry. I think the A-League definitely needs to. That's an undersold market in Queensland, completely.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Ipswich or Gold Coast, you know, there are people in Queensland who would definitely support a different team. Hey, Kat. A team other than Brisbane Roar.
Yeah, and for sure, I think an area like Gold Coast is probably the biggest market in Australia that doesn't have an A-League team.
When you look at how many people live in the Gold Coast, it's more than the Central Coast. It's more than Newcastle.
Yep.
And those teams have pretty good following.
Yep.
And it's a market that it's not oversaturated really. They've got an AFL team somehow. They've got an NRL team. They've got a netball team, but you know,
it's definitely not like Sydney and Melbourne, which is very well represented.
Yeah.
Across the major football codes, and it's not. Yeah, I think a Gold Coast team could work, and I think it's all down to being well run. And these American investors seem like they know how to run a football club, and I think Clive Palmer has the money, has the funds, but he didn't know how to run any football club, any code of football. And I think, you know, they had two really good successful years, the old Gold Coast United, when they were up in the top 3 or 4. And then obviously the last year, a lot of things happened. They ended up running last. The crowds were a bit of an issue, but then he shut half the stadium. And I think when it's marketed well, I think a Gold Coast United team can work. I think I hear this argument of, you know, every Gold Coast team fails. And I think that's a myth. I think the old Gold Coast Rugby League team was actually one of the few rugby league teams to turn a profit in what was a terrible time during the Super League War, and was probably more a victim of the Super League War when a lot of teams got shut down because of just what was going on at that time with the amount of money being spent. And I think there was a basketball team there on the Gold Coast, and you know, I don't mind basketball, but it's definitely not up there in terms of the big powers of sport in this country. And so maybe it failed just because it wasn't that big to support a team there. But none other of major football codes have really failed. The AFL team, well, I mean, it depends what you define success as. I mean, they haven't played finals. They haven't had a great run, but what they have done really well is getting juniors playing the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it is traditionally a rugby league town, and it still probably is. Rugby league is its main sport, but the AFL have been able to get a lot of kids playing it, and that's a long-term investment for them on the Gold Coast. They knew that when they got Gold Coast and GWS, and it was all about long-term investment, converting people to the sport. The NRL didn't really have that issue. They had some really good crowds when they started off, around 20,000. It went down a bit, and it's gotten up, I think, before COVID hit, and it was averaging about 14,000, which is, I think, a pretty reasonable number for them.
Imagine 14,000 people at an A-League match. Like, that's an
average. That's an average.
That would be a really good showing for a team.
Yeah, and I don't think an A-League team straight away could get 14,000 on average to a game, but I think you build it up over the years. And there's a lot of kids playing football up there. There's a lot of clubs up there. There's definitely not a lack of interest of football up there. It's a good stadium at Seabus Super Stadium, 27,000. I think that's a good size for a stadium. I think
Absolutely.
Brisbane Roar would love a stadium that kind of size.
And imagine, you know, in a couple of years, if they did make it into the A-League, the rivalry you could get with Brisbane Roar, you could get close to packing that out for
when it's well marketed, for sure.
Queensland Derby. And that's, I think the marketing is the big thing. You know, there's definitely a football market. There's football markets all over Australia because football is the most played sport in Australia. You know, there's people who are interested in football. It's marketing it well. And Clive Palmer never put money into marketing the Gold Coast. with the
But we all know his name.
Oh, you know Clive Palmer. I don't know people knew about Gold Coast United. And with the new Paramount Plus, Channel 10 are promoting the game, and there's the APL is still seeking money. This $1 million kind of investment to actually market the game to promote it well. Put that behind a brand new club in a good area that has a settled home. They'll play out of one stadium. I can only see it actually going well and starting strongly.
Yeah.
The fact as well that the club has kind of survived. They did disappear, but Gold Coast United is still a football club, so they've continued to have a history.
Yeah, so the club has been resurrected since it was removed from the A-League, and it's in NPL Queensland now. So
so there's a history behind the club still, which will actually give them something. They're not starting from complete scratch.
I don't know if that was a separate Gold Coast bid that wants to come in, or whether they tackle onto that old Gold Coast team, but whether that happens or not, I think Gold Coast
it'd be cool to have the Gold Coast United logo back in, the colours.
Imagine the away days. If you're that kind of person that likes the beaches.
It'd be so good. And that's the kind of market they really can attract, is that much like Sydney FC, they marketed to, young professionals hanging out on the harbour, going out, and they thought, well, add going along to a Sydney FC game into your weekend out. And they really hit that market, and a lot of their fans actually come from that, and they do really well in selling out the corporate boxes and things like that. Gold Coast could aim for the same thing. The lifestyle, go to a Gold Coast game and then hit the pubs, hit the clubs afterwards. Make it part of your social outing. They really could attract a whole heap of different people. They could hit the pensioners living up in the Gold Coast. They can hit the young families and uni students. I think there's definitely potential in the club to almost be that glamour club like Sydney.
Well, what
Sydney
would you say to the people that say, Gold Coast has been there before and it failed, and they shouldn't get another look in, it should be somewhere else?
Look, they're probably valid concerns, but I think when you look at just the way that the FFA went about it, the way Clive Palmer was involved, I think they had some big things that were actually hampering the club. Some big things that actually meant they couldn't be a success last time. I think if you put better owners in, and if you give the club the actual opportunity to grow, I think they can be a success. If we really are riding this wave at the moment, the league's separated, we're going good, I think this is the best chance to make these clubs a success. And I think, when you talk about success, that's a big thing. They failed because Clive Palmer gave up on them.
Yeah.
I think other clubs have had owners step away or, sell the club, and the clubs have survived. Central Coast Mariners, Charlesworth wants to sell them, but the club keeps kicking. Newcastle Jets don't have owners, but they're surviving. I think we were at a period of football where the FFA just used clubs like their little playthings, and North Queensland and Gold Coast, unfortunately, when things went awry, the FFA just went, just cut them.
Yeah, because North Queensland was, I think, a lack of money.
Yeah.
And Gold Coast, was Clive Palmer. And I think those
decisions to add those two teams at that time was probably more around the FFA, the World Cup bid, and not really... Because I think I just want to expand it. I really don't think North Queensland was probably the appropriate choice. Then Gold Coast United, letting Clive Palmer own a club, I'm not quite sure. And I think that was at the right time when, the AFL were introducing a team into Queensland, and the NRL team had been there for a couple of years now. So I think they knew this is the market we want to get to.
Yeah.
I think that was the right one. But
they went market-based, not football or kind of bid merit.
And when thought out, I still think Gold Coast United can work.
Yeah, absolutely.
North Queensland, maybe. But definitely Gold Coast United went done well. I don't know about North Queensland. Maybe one day, but I think that was probably a rush decision. But yeah, once done right, I think it can be a success. Anyway, guys, that's what we think about a potential Gold Coast team in the A-League. Make sure you get into the comments and tell us what you think of the Gold Coast, whether they should be in the comp, and let us know. We might do another video like this. We might just focus on one particular club or area that we believe deserves some kind of merit in being in the A-League.
Yeah, there's Tasmania, there's a second New Zealand team,
Broken Hill,
Wollongong, Bathurst. We love talking about expansion. It's exciting to see where the A-League is going, and so who knows what is around the corner. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. Do make sure to leave a like, that really helps us out, and comment below. Comments are great. Let's discuss football. That's what we're here. We're couch critics, right? We sit on the couch, we watch the football, and we love to chat about it. So we've been enjoying your comments on our latest videos, and we're going to keep doing it. So help us get to that 400 subscribers before the season starts, and let us know what else you want to see on the channel. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Cheers.